right, and welcome to episode 21 of the Hops and Bops podcast. I am producer Tom.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Mike.
And this episode, we have a special guest, very special guest with us on the pod. We have one of the co-founders of Witchdoctor Brewing Company in Southington. We have Josh with us. He's zooming in because it's 2021 and we do those cool things. Thanks for coming on, Josh. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, and so we've picked a couple bangers today. We've got Time Travelers and Bonfires, an album by Sevendust.
Yes.
And we have from Witchdoctor the mixed bag Starburst Sour. That sounds delicious.
Yes.
So good.
Who better than the master of Witchdoctor to have on to talk about the beer? So let's crack them open.
Let's do it.
Can't wait to try this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Love that pop.
Oh, yeah. Josh has his too there. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Our first virtual crack.
Our first sour on the show.
Yes, this is our first sour.
Ooh, I like that color.
Yep. Now, I do have to say, I may not be able to taste this too well, as we've learned in the last episode.
Yeah.
I've had a interesting couple weeks
came down,
ending to 2020.
Joe came down with the vid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Call this one /COVID-19.
Yeah, the /COVID-19 trilogy of episodes.
Yeah, let's give it a taste.
Love the smell.
Oh, I can actually smell it.
You can?
A little bit.
We have a breakthrough.
All right.
You can smell it. It has like a juice smell.
It does, yeah.
Like rather than having more of a beer smell, it smells more like some sort of a fruit juice. I like that.
Yeah, I don't.
She doesn't taste it.
Still no taste?
I'll wait for the album because I can't.
All right.
I can't taste the flavors. Oh man, whatever.
All right, so again, our first sour, and personally what I like about it is that it's not too sour. It doesn't have an overwhelming... Some sours can be like super tart,
Yeah.
and then almost leave like a... I hate to say it, but like a leftover throw-up
Yes,
taste
sometimes.
in your mouth.
Yeah.
But this one just is really like... It's like the perfect amount.
Exactly, yeah.
More like a juice. It tastes like a juice from what I can taste. But I agree with you, Mike. Like, I'm not a huge sour fan. I think a lot of sours do have that kind of, unfortunately, that throw up kind of feel in my mouth. But this does not. This does not. And, even though I can't make out a lot of the flavors, but just the general taste of it, I can distinguish between that and... I don't taste that at all. So this is a very well made sour.
Sours
awesome.
have grown on me. This one, and I'm a big fan of the other Witchdoctor sour, I Am Fruit. Not only for the awesome Marvel reference, but just the fact that it's a good raspberry sour. But Josh, if you want to kind of give us a little rundown of how this came about and everything else, go for it.
Sure. So the sours that we do, we like to, as you said, not go overly sour. Mm-hmm. No one likes to have heartburn after their second sip of beer. And so we're all about finding that balance, especially with sours. And it's got to be delicious and juicy too. So we'll brew a base sour as a pretty light batch. And we kind of strategize the sour end of it. We'll shoot for certain pH numbers, and we're pretty good at hitting that. Then we'll fruit it or candy it in this case. Actually, in this case, it's both. We have a double fruit base to this that is going to have to stay proprietary for now.
Ooh, the secret blend.
I know the details, but I won't say.
We'll say it off air. Awesome.
We added a bunch of Starbursts. The three of us actually sat in the brewery for about 4 hours unwrapping Starbursts.
That's so cool.
Next time, call us. We'll help.
So
before we got to that, we actually we've been talking about doing some of these crazy sours that we see popping up occasionally, and candy seemed to be the answer for the particular fruit base that we decided to do. And so we came up with a list of candies that we thought might be interesting, and we decided to test Skittles and Starbursts next to each other. We put a little bit of the fruit base into 2-quart mason jars and added candy, and the Starburst just won out hands down.
That's so cool. So there's actual Starburst brewed in the beer in the process.
Oh yeah, it's essentially dry hopped with Starburst.
Oh man,
Wow.
Awesome.
that's so cool.
That's a really cool concept.
So when I
like
came in the other day, me and Josh, when I came in to pick this up, we were talking about it a little bit, and it was funny because he mentioned about Skittles. They were unsure that it just didn't work out, didn't taste great. And the first thing that popped into my head that I told Josh was, I guarantee it's the grape Skittle. Like, nothing grape ever works out that well.
Yeah.
It's definitely the grape Skittle that fucked it up.
When he mentioned that, I thought about it, and I thought about what was wrong with that particular experiment, and it very well may have been the grape Skittle, now that I think about it.
Mike, you,
I'm just saying.
wow, huge part of this.
So we might have to do another experiment without the grape Skittle.
I could do it.
do it by color.
So if you need someone to come in and sit there and pick out all the grape Skittles, let us know.
Are you trying to get a job? Is this like a way to get into a job there?
The Skittle picker?
The Skittle picker.
Put that on your resume.
Yeah.
Job title, Skittle Picker. We pay you in
Skittles.
purple Skittles.
That's all
The
you
purple
get.
ones that you pick out.
Shit!
It's got good.
I fucked myself over on that one.
Yeah.
It's the benefits.
Oh man. Yeah. So I mean, this beer seems super new for you. So new that where does the can design come from? Because I noticed it's just a
Sticker.
sticker on a generic can. Was
Yeah.
this can from another beer or?
That is our generic can.
Okay. Cool.
So we have that beer specifically so we can do small release stuff, so that we can up any damn thing we please
That's a great idea. Yeah.
and get it to you guys. I mean, we've periodically toyed with the idea of adding the legalese that would be necessary to put the specific cans with the sticker in the package stores. But, I mean, then we kind of think about the aspect of, well, if it's going to the package store, maybe it deserves its own label.
Right. Well,
Yeah, no, I love this too. It has like almost like a grapefruit kind of feel to it. It's I'm getting those kind of aftertastes as well. Yeah, no, it definitely all it layers together very well.
Yeah, I like the fact that, like you said earlier with the Starburst, the nice part about the Starburst is they're all somewhat citrus flavored.
Yeah.
And so when you mix it in with the fruit-based beer, the citrus flavored Starburst, all the flavors mix really well. And I don't think there's any single flavor that like super stands out.
Yeah.
It's the mixture of all of it just gives it that good base. And it's got that nice cloudy look to it. It just goes down smooth. I mean, sometimes with sours you can have one or two, and then it's just become a little too much, and you need something else. I feel like I could sit there and down a 4-pack of this, no problem.
Yeah, this isn't.
Get myself in trouble.
It's not that tart. It really isn't. It's very easy to drink compared to other sours out there.
But you can still tell it's a sour.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. Right.
exactly.
Exactly. Right.
That's the best part.
Yep. Josh,
I'm kind of trying to do that with the I Am Fruit too. And really, I mean, we're also gonna come out with further sours. I think down the line. I think the next one we're gonna toy with when we brew this one again. I think we're gonna throw a little to the side and experiment with blueberry tart.
Cool.
Ooh.
That's cool.
Pastry sour kind of thing.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Sounds pretty good.
I guess it wouldn't be pastry. Think like blueberry crumble.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
Maybe we'll have
interesting.
to. Maybe we'll have to be in brewery for that
That'd be
recording,
cool.
and we'll have to cover that one.
Yeah.
We can have Josh pick the album.
Yeah. Right.
It'll probably be one hell of a metal album.
Yeah. Yep. Josh, I did have one question. Like, I don't consider us major like beer experts, but what makes a sour a sour? Like, how does it get that taste compared to, your lagers, your IPAs, your stouts? Like, how does the sour become a sour?
It's actually a separate fermentation. It's a bacterial fermentation.
Okay.
Actually,
Yes.
I know that's a scary word, but and basically it's called a kettle sour. So what you do is you brew the beer like you normally would, right up until the point where it's in the kettle, and you would be adding hops. You don't add the hops yet. Instead, you add the bacteria.
Okay.
And you keep that in specific conditions for a period of a few days, give or take, depending on what your goal is. The longer you leave it, the more sour you're going to get. And then when you're all done, you boil the beer like you normally would, add the hops. That kills all the bacteria and sanitizes the vessel back up, and then you're good to go.
Sanitizing,
Treat it like any other beer at that point.
Sanitizing is important these days.
The theme of this year.
That's good shit. That's awesome. That's good to know, because I never knew, and by doing this podcast, I'm learning a lot. So
I was going to say, the one thing I did notice when you guys made this was maybe 2 weeks prior to it being released, you guys posted that you were mixing not Skittles, but Starburst into your beer, and then like 2 weeks later, boom, the beer was like canned and ready to go. So you saying that these kinds go much quicker, just looking on Facebook and Instagram, like I saw that turnaround happen so quick. All of a sudden, I'm like, I'm at work and I got a notification, Witchdoctors released their beer today. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, that was quick. On my way.
yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to be more timely and on top of our social media posts too.
Yeah, no, well, you did a good job on this one. You got me there quick.
Now, I have a very important question, probably the most important of the day. Did you use the standard Starburst flavors, or did you go with like the tropical
yeah.
or?
No, we thought about it. We really did.
Yeah.
We almost went with the Fave Red, but we decided on just regular.
So
that's the
Yep.
So that's the strawberry, the cherry, the orange, and the lemon.
It's awesome.
Perfect.
It's really cool.
No, it worked well, man.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great tasting sour, and we're glad that this all worked out for this episode. Cool.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, it definitely comes through well.
One thing about this beer, though, is if it does make it to market, which indications say that it might have to do, we're going to have to change the name of it, because there's like 20 other beers in Untapped named Mixed Bag, and that can prove legal problems. So I will definitely make an announcement and let y'all know, but
Sure.
Mixed Bag is a temporary name. Likely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good to know. Maybe a little naming contest.
Ooh. I like it.
Yeah, so
I got to check into legalities, but I saw a Starburst commercial the other day, and they used the word 𝙎𝙩𝙖𝙧𝙗𝙪𝙧 equation. I kind of like that.
That's cool. Nice. Well, that's good info.
All right.
yeah, so go follow Witchdoctor on all their social medias for some updates on that, because that sounds like a lot of fun. But while we're still talking, let's transfer over a bit to the album that we paired with this, which is Time Travelers and Bonfires, the album by Sevendust.
Yeah, this was a Joe Sod pick.
This was my pick. I've been wanting to.
It's been a pick for about 2 months.
I've been wanting to talk about this album for a while, but it got pushed. We had some other good ideas we wanted to do, but it's finally time. Sevendust is one of my favorite bands. I often think that they're kind of underappreciated in the rock and metal world. I hear a lot about other rock and metal bands that, quite frankly, in my opinion, just put out shitty music. And Sevendust has stayed consistent since their '97 debut, and they're just rocking out. And even to this day, they just put out a new album in 2020 called Blood and Stone, which I think is a great album. So I wanted to talk about them because they deserve their due. They need to be one of the most mentioned bands in music. So if we could change that, that'd be great. But anyway, this album, while they're rock and heavy metal and aggressive music, this is their acoustic album. It's their 10th album, came out in 2014. It's 12 tracks. But two reasons why I chose this album. First reason is they absolutely slay the acoustic music. Mm-hmm. For being a heavy metal band, they do awesome acoustic songs, whether it's covers of their previous songs or just purely acoustic songs. they do an awesome job at retweaking their songs. And then the other reason why I chose the album is, so it's 12 tracks. The first 6 songs were brand new at the time, purely acoustic songs. The second 6 songs were acoustic versions of previously released songs, some of their biggest hits. And I just thought that concept for the album was a really cool concept. So, and I happen to love the album, so I wanted to bring it to the podcast and see what everyone thinks. So...
personally, I think there were 2 things missing on this album.
Okay.
One thing I think the album was missing was a purely acoustic song.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have a song where it was just Clint Lowry on guitar, maybe Clint Lowry with a little bit of piano, and just him and `𝙎𝙧𝙖𝙧 singing.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have had almost like that real raw acoustic sound.
That's true.
The other is, I don't know, I just feel like they are another band that does a really good job with covers. Like an acoustic cover would have been cool. Of a song.
Yeah, that would have been cool
they
too.
did a really good job with "The Day I Tried to Live"
Yeah.
by Soundgarden. Was one of their recent releases of a cover song. And I know people are kind of against cover songs because it's almost like hey, we need to make money. Here's a cover song you already know, you don't have to think about.
Yeah.
But I feel like that could have maybe boosted it a little bit too.
It never dawned on me about having just a purely acoustic
Yeah.
song, but like this is their brand. Like Morgan Rose on drums doesn't hold back at all. Like he's still playing like not even like rods or bongos. He's still playing full kit, but it works. It oddly works for this, and I just thought it was really cool.
It's got like almost a Days of the New vibe to it.
That's a good point. Yeah. I was trying to think of bands that they kind of resemble a lot. I didn't really think of that, but that's definitely a good
Days of the
comparison.
New, like early tantric. That kind of acoustic electric overlap.
When Clint was coming back to Sevendust, they had just put out their 7th album, Chapter 7, Hope and Sorrow, and they had just put it out with their guitarist at that time, Sonny Mayo, just put it out, and then they announced that Clint was coming back. So they toured this whole album that Sonny just recorded, but Clint came back and played the songs and Sevendust has a great discography. I highly recommend it. But as for this album, let's dig into the tracks. So it kicks off with a song called "Come Down," and this is again one of the just purely acoustically written songs for this album. I thought it was a great album intro. It had that classic Sevendust vibe with all instruments locked in and syncopated. They're big on syncopation in their music, accents on the offbeats. And I just love Morgan Rose's drum work on the song and the whole album. As a drummer, I kind of like that he brought, actual drums to the album and still made it work. I admired that. I thought it was...
I feel like that gives it more energy. I feel like it's easier to listen to it with that full drum set, say, than if you've ever listened to Zakk Wylde's Book of Shadows. It's a little harder to get through because it doesn't have that full drum set happening. At least through much of it.
Right, exactly.
That's actually on my list of future albums.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Future. One thing that sticks out with me for Sevendust is for being such a hard rock band, 𝙎𝙧𝙖𝙧 and Clint's way of putting the vocals together and harmonizing and things like that. They're like made for each other. They do it. It's almost like Van Halen and Michael Anthony. And his background harmonies. They're just really. Their voices work so well together.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm not the biggest fan of this album, but I would say that one of the better parts is the vocals. The harmonies and the layers that they kind of add to the album really adds a lot to the music. Yeah,
I do want to say, just as an overall fact, 𝙎𝙧𝙖𝙧's vocals, he's just a great singer. He's a great frontman, great lead singer for good representation of the genre. He does a great job.
Yeah, he's not super clean. He has that bit of growl in there too, so he's got a bit of that. It fits the style well.
Yeah, for sure.
He's got a good edge.
Yeah. The next song is called "Under It All." Again, another good song. I thought it had good verses. I like how the chorus, kind of opens up to kind of this kind of airy feel. Rose's drumming remains aggressive and not acoustic at all. But, like I said, it kind of oddly works. Has a great breakdown after the second chorus. I really like that. And that's something they're known for. The Sevendust has great breakdowns in their songs, and they kind of made it work for this acoustic vibe.
Yeah, so...
This one didn't stick acoustic either. They got a little electric part in here.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, they throw a lot of electric guitar in there with the acoustic in the background, and I think they do a pretty good job at layering that. The electric doesn't take over and take away from the idea that it's supposed to be acoustic.
It's nice. It adds to it and doesn't overshadow things.
100%.
Definitely.
So at this point, when I was listening, I was also in the hospital having my second child. So hey, thank you. But in the process, I had a little extra time, so I was doing some research, and I found out that the reason they put this album out was because in 2004 they had a live acoustic album that had, I guess, a pretty big response.
Yeah, Southside double wide acoustic live. Yeah,
and because of that, they went and they put out this album.
Mm-hmm.
Not my first concert, but my first heavy concert was Ozfest '98. And Sevendust was there.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
That was right after they came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw Sevendust. I think it was the only time I ever saw them. It was right after they came out.
That's cool. I saw Sevendust, maybe about 10 years ago at the Hartford Webster Theater.
Oh, nice.
It was them and Alta Bridge, I want to say.
Okay.
And it was
nice.
Really good show. God, they blew the roof off that place.
Yeah.
It was so loud. They're such a loud band.
I think I saw them open up for somebody at Mohegan. One of those Carnival of Madness or some sort of where it was like Stone Sour headlined or somebody big headlined. And I want to say Sevendust was one of the opening bands. All right, cool. So The Wait is next.
Yeah, this one was actually one of my my favorites from the album. I really liked the vocal performance. It was the most memorable hook that really stuck with me a bit more.
Yeah.
I would say, at least personally for me, there wasn't a lot of memorable moments, and that's not to be super mean. It's just that kind of style for me.
Yeah.
I don't really kind of relate a lot to that alt metal, kind of new metal almost kind of sound. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed this track. The way they layer their vocals again is a shining point for me.
Yeah.
This was one of my favorites for the simple fact of this is more of what I expected from an acoustic album.
Right.
It was more ballad driven. Piano had the dramatic strings in it.
Yes.
I'm glad. The wait. It was funny. I was waiting for this song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
I was really waiting for this style of song to come on, and I'm just glad it came on earlier rather than later. Kept me listening.
Yeah. I thought that
we're spending just the right amount of minutes on each song. To my playlist is progressing with each song right as we move on.
Oh, there you go.
Beautiful.
We're seasoned here at the Hops and Bops podcast. I really liked the 6/8 pattern. It was a nice switch up rather than just the kind of common time. And awesome chorus, wide open piano. Like Mike said, I thought it was a welcomed addition to the kind of landscape of the song and the album. So yeah, good song. Next one, Upbeat Sugar. I thought it was a funny name. Is it in the lyrics?
I really didn't look into it, to be honest with you.
But I need to hear this song as an electric song. I want to hear this song as one of their normal albums.
It's a classic Sevendust.
It's a Sevendust song.
That's all it is.
It's not quintessential, but
not quite, but it's classic.
Yeah, right.
Got the tropes.
I love how the song builds intensity from the verse to the chorus. Has that halftime chorus, another great breakdown. I really like this song a lot.
Yeah.
I like this one too.
Yeah.
So not to jump too much, but I gotta say, this was a perfect breakfast beer.
Fruity, well balanced breakfast.
It's like drinking orange juice in the morning. I could see myself becoming an alcoholic with this.
I actually noticed that the other day. I was at work and got handed this beer because we were doing Mike was doing a photo shoot, or we had a can that needed tested, or something like that. I was like, oh man, this is my first beer of the day. All right then, and it was really refreshing.
It
And
is.
I was like, oh.
Well, when
That's actually pretty good for a first beer of the day.
Yeah, when you think of breakfast beers, usually you have like the oatmeal stouts or something that's a little heavier, and almost more of like a coffee type of beer. And I don't know, this has just got such a nice juice flavor to it. I could do this in the morning.
And then, so the next song is called One Life. You know, I thought it was the most ballad on the album. You know, definitely a ballad.
Yeah.
Slower song. I thought the piano worked extremely well again. It wasn't my favorite. You know, it was kind of a, you know, I think they needed to make it.
The guitar solo was the best part of the song.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even with that being the best part of the song, it was too short in my opinion. And this is the point where I actually wrote it down and I noted that Clint Lowry, as much as 𝙎𝙧𝙖𝙧𝙗𝙪𝙧 is the voice, Clint Lowry's the band.
Yeah.
He literally is Sevendust.
Yeah.
Without him, you don't have Sevendust.
Yeah.
And I know they did that album without him.
Three,
but-
actually. They did
or whatever.
three without him. Yeah.
His riffs, his guitar, his backing vocals. If you actually look on their Wikipedia list of everything, he's written every song.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's the only person that's listed for writing every one of their songs. And just a song like this where nothing was really spectacular about it, his guitar then just was the best part.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Just without him, I just don't see Sevendust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way about them as a band almost. Like, I like how consistent they are, and it's consistently good. But it's so consistent that I feel like they don't necessarily take some of the chances they could take
That's so true.
to really make some of their stuff really stand out.
Yeah.
I think you're right, and I think that might be the reason why they're not as prominent, like I mentioned earlier. They're kind of like the AC/DC of alt
Yeah,
metal,
of
like
new
new metal.
Yeah.
You know, every album you know what you're going to get into, but which is why I kind of thought this album would be a good one to kind of address, because it was a change for them, and
Yeah.
it brought out a whole different side of them that they already had for
Yeah.
over a decade, and you know, shows kind of their versatility as a band.
Yeah, and to that point that Josh just brings up, kind of goes along with what I said earlier with just a purely acoustic song would have been a risk that I think that with his voice being so distinct and then throwing like a piano ballad or an acoustic, like a legit acoustic song, like Clint Lowry over the Quarantine put out his version of Hurt by Nine Inch Nails.
Oh, okay.
And it's just piano and his vocals. In my opinion, it's a great cover song. Great song that they did. Something like that with 𝙎𝙧𝙖𝙧𝙗's voice on this album would have been that risk that I think would have paid off and made the album even better.
Yeah, agreed. And then the song 6. So this is the last like original song on the album, or like acoustic original. It's called Bonfire. I thought this was an awesome song. I love the way this song kicks off. It kind of builds that intensity with the intro, and then it kicks in with a cool groove. And I love the change up in the drum beat for the second verse. It just kind of adds that nice little tweak.
I gotta agree. Coming into this song, even right in the very beginning, this is one that catches my ear as something that's just a little different than the rest of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. This one just grooves. As soon as this kicks on, I'm just like in it. I'm in it to win it. I love it.
Well, once again, Morgan Rose's drums are just they really drive this song.
Yeah.
And it's and then they mix that electric and acoustic guitar, and they just do a good job with it. It is a solid song.
Yeah, and another pretty.
I like the tension they're able to build in this song.
Yeah. Yep. Well said.
Yeah, and another really catchy hook. Kind of similar to the weight. That's what kind of draws my ear a lot too.
Yeah.
That build up is definitely pretty good.
Yep. I kind of thought the acoustic guitar the main parts, they reminded me of Scratch Track a little bit. With a band we talked about a lot of episodes ago, like
Kind of punchy.
kind of that punchy,
dirty.
dirty groove. I thought it was kind of cool. Yeah, great song. I thought it was a perfect song to kind of transition into that later half of the album, because now we're getting into the acoustic versions of older songs. It was kind of, I thought it was a great transition. So later 6 songs. First one is called Gone. The original version of it was on their 2003 album called Seasons. And I thought the acoustic and the electric versions were like twins. Like, they really kept it to the original. They didn't really take much risks on this, which I thought was okay. It was the first one on the album, and I thought it was very well made. It was exactly what an acoustic version of this song should be.
A lot of their riffs, especially guitar-wise, are like more exactly that riff-driven rather than like chord-driven.
Yeah.
This one was a little more open. Go ahead.
I sometimes wonder if you guys write their songs on acoustic guitars.
It's a good point.
A lot of bands do.
Yeah.
A lot of bands do. And so it did definitely translated well. It was very different for an acoustic song. Also it was really bass-driven, which was kind of cool because, again, it was a change. It kind of set it apart from some of the other songs on the album.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think for me, because originally I didn't know that the album had the second half. I didn't know that was all acoustic covers. So Joe actually made a playlist of the originals and then into the acoustic covers. And like you mentioned, they sound pretty similar.
Yeah.
So for me personally, they don't really serve a lot of purpose to be acoustic cover just because they're so similar. So like this one, and also jumping ahead, Karma, I thought was pretty similar too.
Yeah, Karma's pretty similar. Yeah.
So like they're still decent songs, but I don't really see the need to go back and do that again because they're so close.
I kind of agree with you, and a lot of it is the drumming. If they did what Mike said and just had a purely acoustic, maybe with some bongos, light percussion instead of drum kit, you might have had more of a contrast. It's a good point. Yeah,
they could have brought in some percussion instruments you don't hear too often.
Yeah,
they could have brought in extra strings. They could have brought in. Hell, they could have brought in a didgeridoo.
No, yeah, but I mean, like,
or theremin.
I mean, just alone where we're recording this podcast right now. I mean, we have a cajon, we have a dumbek, we have a freaking djembe.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me they couldn't get some of those, and Morgan Rose couldn't have played those different percussion pieces and changed it up a little bit.
Yeah,
it would have been nice.
I know that's part of their draw, but at the same time, like we keep mentioning back to, it would have been nice for them to take a little more risk, step outside of their comfort zone, and do something a little bit different. Because honestly, they're a good enough band to make it work.
So I think they did step out of their comfort zone on the next song, Denial. I think their acoustic version of this is probably the most dramatically changed song compared to the original. If you listen to the original back to back, it's very different.
Yeah.
And you almost have to like listen very carefully to the lyrics to really recognize that it is Denial. And, of course, when the chorus comes in, you can tell. But even the chorus itself, it's like towards the end of the song, they went to halftime, which was really slow and really just kind of doomy. It was, sure, fill me up. So I thought this was really well done for an acoustic album.
To Mike's comment earlier, it doesn't really have as much of the drums going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It doesn't have the drums going on like it does in the other songs. I think this is their one maybe they did take a little bit of a chance on. And it's a good choice.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is their like big breakout hit.
Yeah.
For sure.
This was one of their biggest songs.
Yeah. And then moving on to Trust, I thought that was just boring. I didn't think there was anything really special about that song.
Yeah.
When they covered it.
Yeah, it kind of just took all the edge off for me. Like listening to the original and then to that. Like the musicianship and like the actual performance is fine.
Oh, great.
Like I'm not gonna shit on that, but
right
in terms of what they did with it, I feel like they just kind of made it a lot softer. What you're gonna do with an acoustic anyway.
They took out a lot of the aggressive breakdowns. They took out a lot of the screaming and but I liked it. They came off the album Animosity, which was their third album, 2001.
The next two songs did.
The next two songs, actually.
And I thought they both were boring.
Well, and it's too bad because Animosity as an album is amazing. It is it's their third album. It was kind of their breakout album. The last song, Angel's Son, is already an acoustic song on that album. And it's an amazing album.
I just personally, the next two, Trust and Crucified, I thought they were better electric.
Yeah,
they really didn't have, which it's hard because you know you don't want to take an electric song and make a better version for this album and then be able to say, oh, the acoustic version's better. But then at the same time, you also don't want to say that, well, the electric version's better. Like there's a fine line of like they've got to be different, not better or worse, but like standalone.
Exactly.
And I feel like these two songs just didn't have that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Crucified.
Yeah.
Tom, thoughts?
No, I'm the same. I appreciate the hook. I like that. Obviously the vocals are still pretty good.
Yep.
But you know the songwriting can be attributed to not this album but the previous album. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if all the accolades will come in for this one specifically.
Yeah.
But no, it was okay.
Yeah. What was next? Which one was next? Karma.
Yeah.
Okay, so the original for this came off of Cold Day Memory, 2010. This was the first album, the Cold Day Memory album, that Clint was back in the band for.
Gotcha.
It was one of their most, is their heaviest band. It was like a lot of anticipation for it to have Clint back on a recording. That album's great, and I thought this song was, it kept to the original kind of, but it was cool hearing this song as an acoustic because you wouldn't think it when you hear the original.
It was good. It was energetic. You know, the drums were great. Again, you know, wasn't too different, wasn't too crazy. But it was just good. That's really all I had for it. You know, nothing special. Wasn't bad. Wasn't good.
I think the drums are very often with this band my favorite part.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. He definitely has a specific style.
Again, they're a good band. All the musicianship, as Tom pointed out earlier, they're great musicians, great vocalists. They harmonize well. You know, they can play a good song.
Which is why I wish they were more at the forefront. Other than some of these bands, they're just not doing anything good.
Well, before we started the podcast and we were getting set up, like me and Josh were talking, and he had mentioned that, you know, they remind him of like maybe a little more talented like Godsmack.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs sound very similar. They have their sound. And they kind of stick to it. And like you said, they're like a new metal AC/DC.
Yeah.
And I think that might be what they're losing out on. You know what I mean? Is they're such good musicians. You know, we keep bringing up Five Finger Death Punch with their covers. And me and another buddy always have conversations. Five Finger Death Punch is a great band. They just suck at writing songs.
Right.
And their covers are amazing, but their originals just kind of suck.
But they're more popular. I think everyone thinks, which sucks because I want these guys to be more popular.
But you don't have to think twice. You already know the song.
Five Finger Death Punch started out a little more raw. I mean, they started out a little more outside the box, I think, with their songs. You listen to their first couple of albums, it's a little more interesting than if you listen to their last couple of albums. With Sevendust, it's kind of always been very formula driven, very inside the box. Don't really want to step outside too much. I feel like they're maybe afraid to really venture into creativity very much.
But with the final track, Black, right?
Yes, Black.
Off of their first album?
First album.
Was it their first single?
Self-titled debut. It might be Black or Bitch might be their first single.
Baby. Yeah. Dropping the B word. As we've said, fuck like 7 times.
Yeah, right.
It's funny. I think when I saw them at Ozfest way back in '98, I don't think I heard him sing once.
Really? Yeah, right. Just aggressive.
The whole set was guttural.
Yeah. So this is actually, if I remember correctly, the first song that I heard by Sevendust. The original version of Black on their self-titled debut came out in '97, and I love this song. This is probably my favorite Godsmack Sevendust song, the original.
Yeah, it was their first single.
It was their first single. It's just an aggressive song, but I absolutely love what they did with the acoustic version. It kind of made it more tangible. Like the original version isn't as tangible. The vocals, the way it was produced, like, you know, it had an older production style, so kind of hard to understand the lyrics. This kind of brought it all kind of current day. You kind of understand what we're trying to do with the song.
Still mastered louder than Dark New Day, though.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought it was a great way to end.
Yes, I agree with you, Mike.
They brought it back to like the beginning.
I like the little bit at the end of the hook where he like the instrumentation kind of falls out under that the last line of the vocals and then comes back with the verse.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love what they did on this song. I think it's like how a band should record an acoustic version of their song. It's still, it honors the original yet brings something new to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was the album.
That's
cool.
it.
It was.
Yeah. So just kind of overall thoughts. I personally like this album. I listened to it a lot even before the podcast. And I love the idea of the two halves. First half was all new. Second half were all original or acoustic versions of originals. And in terms of my favorite bands, I consider them one of my dark horse bands.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like other bands better, but they're ones I can always rely on for a good kick in the ass album. And I really like what they did on this for sure.
Yeah, I thought overall it was, a decent album. I played it a few times in the background. It definitely wasn't something that jumped out and was like, I have to listen. But, it wasn't a bad album to listen to. I had a couple songs that could have been better. But overall, just wasn't good, not great.
Right.
It's the best way I could put it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I could agree with that.
Yeah, I'm about there too. I'm just not personally a fan of this style. It kind of it takes the bite out of any of the originals and just kind of replaces the amp guitars with acoustics because there's not a lot of change up on the rest of it.
Yeah.
And even the originals were just kind of head bobbing early 2000s almost like alt metal style, which is, if that's your thing, then that's totally fine.
Yeah, right.
But, I'm a bit of the newer gen, which isn't necessarily.
That's okay.
But yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I mentioned this in a previous episode. I don't remember which one. But a lot of the originals gave me PlayStation 2 dirt bike game soundtracks vibes.
Yes. I would say you're right.
Yeah. So.
I even think that came across my mind when I was doing my notes for this album. All right, so we'll get into our highlighted tracks here. Start with our top track. So because there were two distinct parts of the album for me, I kind of did a top track from each half.
Of course.
Because Joe style, I can never just do one. My top track from the first 6 songs, the new songs, was Bonfire. I love that song, Bonfire. I'll always listen to that. It's a great song. And then my top track from the acoustic covers of their originals was Black. It was a great way to end the album. I love the original song, and I love this version of the song. So definitely those 2 songs for me stand out.
Yeah, I liked, I picked my number 1, I picked out of the songs that were previously written and then rewritten for acoustic. And Black was my favorite. I thought it was a great way to end the album. You guys know me, placement is big for me. And to have their first single in an acoustic format, end the album, kind of going right back to the roots of where everything started. That's where we're going to end.
Yeah.
All of that just fell together and was just a really, really cool song.
Cool, like full circle.
Yeah.
Me personally, I enjoyed The Wait the most out of all of them. Just generally as a note, I feel like there was a lot of similarity with a lot of the styles on here. And that's just personally because I'm not a huge fan of them. I haven't listened to them for a long time. So it wasn't as much of a standout versus the rest of them, but in general, I enjoyed the vocal hook and the layering very well on that track, so definitely my favorite.
If you listen to one of their actual albums, you're going to see that every single song is kind of formulaic, like Josh said. But, you'll see that. It's like, all right, where am I in the album? What song am I on? Cool.
I think my favorites on this one were also Bonfire and Black.
Nice.
I'm just a sucker for dynamics, and those are the 2 songs that have the most of them out of this album.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. Good. Cool.
All right, so now our sleeper. So the song you kind of didn't...
Bottom track.
Right? Oh, we're doing bottom track.
Act like you've been...
I've never been here before. So we're doing... All right.
Sent too many sours.
Yeah, this is my... I need another one.
It is good.
So... I'm going to say Trust and Crucified. I thought both of them were just very blah.
Yeah.
So for a bottom track, kind of a song I could skip, I would skip those two and move right on to Karma. I don't know. I had a hard time picking like a bottom because it's not like any song on the album was bad.
Right.
I kind of went more based off of like which songs just didn't do the acoustic version justice. So for me, it was Trust and Crucified.
Yeah.
Okay. My least favorite was One Life. It just, in comparison to the rest of the originals, wasn't as standoutish. Very kind of messy to go through. I don't know if that's the right word to use there, but yeah, no, it really didn't do anything for me at all.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you, Tom. Mine's also One Life. But it's not because it was a bad song. It was just, I think all the other songs in the album were just better.
Yeah.
And like we talked about earlier, I kind of wish the solo was longer and the rest of the song was maybe a little condensed. So One Life for me was my bottom.
Cool.
Josh, any bottom tracks for you?
It's really hard to pick one, but probably agree with you on the One Life. I don't know that there's any particular reason per se. Just seem to have the least amount of energy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Cool.
All right, Tom.
for the
Sleepers?
dark
Now
horse, yeah.
for the Dark Horse Sleeper.
The Sleepy Dark Horse. I went with Denial.
Yeah.
Okay.
I listened to the original and then to this, and what they did with it was pretty impressive because it sounds the most changed out of any of the acoustic covers. So I enjoyed that.
Cool. So I have two dark horses.
No.
You don't have three this time?
I have two.
Okay.
No, three's a different episode. We'll get to that.
Three's a crap.
Oh, no. It's going to be a long day. No, so my two dark horses were Come Down and Upbeat Sugar. I just thought they were really cool songs. And the fact that they were original, they might get skipped when you think of the whole like Sevendust discography. Because it's kind of an acoustic album, might be a skip album for some people. But I really think these two songs, along with Bonfire, should be like kind of reverse it, like make electric versions of them and see what happens. So Come Down, Upbeat Sugar for my dark horses.
So mine was The Wait. So the way I did it was I kind of picked, like I said, my number one was from the re-rendition, acoustic to electric or vice versa. And then one of the new songs I picked as kind of my like sleeper. And I went with The Wait. And what really stuck out for me was it was the song that I wanted to hear. It was that acoustic, had more of that kind of softer vibe, had the strings. Honestly, in my opinion, it was the one song on the album that kind of did stick out. Like Tom said earlier, it's the one song that stuck out from the rest.
Yeah.
So that was it for me.
Cool.
What's a dark horse sleeper?
So it's a song that is not a popular song on the album, but you think people should hear it, and
kind of like the one that you didn't expect to be as good as it was.
Yeah.
All right. I think I got to go with the Upbeat Sugar. That was one that caught my ear. I kind of dug it. It wasn't necessarily my favorite, but it was a noteworthy track on there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
Sweet.
Ratings?
Did you pick your dark horses?
I did.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
You started it.
Oh, Denial. All right. Ratings? What are you thinking?
So Josh, we rate everything out of basically out of 5. So we rate the beer, 0 to 5 on, we call it 0 to 5 hops, 5 being the most. And then we rate the album on 0 to 5 bops, again 5 being the most. So Joe, it was your album. So start. What was your take on it?
I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 bops.
Okay.
I always listen to this album, like I said earlier. I love it, and I highly recommend it to anyone. Even if you don't like metal and rock, give this album a shot because it's a cool twist on rock elements and then acoustic elements. So give it a shot. 4 out of 5 bops.
Again, I put it at good, not great, middle of the road for me. Could listen, didn't have to run out and listen. I gave it 2.5. Good, not great.
Okay.
Yeah, I ended up giving it a 2 out of 5 bops for me. I kind of felt like a bad reviewer, but there's really not a lot to talk about for me personally.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of standout between the tracks, which was what kind of killed it for me. I really didn't have like a favorite or least favorite. I kind of picked it as I went along, but there's so much overlap that it's hard to distinguish, and it lacked that wow factor for me. How certain albums will have that, and obviously, the acoustic vibe of it will give that wow factor, but me not being a fan of Sevendust, not having that experience, just didn't really stand out for me. So
Cool. Yeah.
around there.
I think I'm going to have to go with a 3 out of 5 box, which is about what I'd give Sevendust in general, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's fair.
They're a solid band. They're all fantastic musicians, but I feel like I'm always left wanting more out of these guys. I feel like they stop short of what they can truly achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as an acoustic album, I think that's exactly the same feeling I get out of them. Mm-hmm. It's a solid effort, and it's just about what I expect that band to come out with as an acoustic album. It's not bad. It's not spectacular. It's Sevendust.
That's their tagline.
That's you should market for them.
That's awesome. Cool. All right.
So the mixed bag Starburst Sour.
For now.
Yes.
For now.
Tentatively named.
Patent pending.
It's not bad. It's not spectacular. It's Sevendust.
It's going on their next album cover.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to refer to this beer as, eventually it'll be the beer formerly known as
yes.
the mixed bag Starburst Sour.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that that's also on Untapped.
We got work to do.
Yeah. So for me, I've grown on sours lately. The more I've had them, the more I've really gotten into them. I will say, hands down, this is my go-to. I know it's new, but this is my favorite sour by far that I've tried. Mm-hmm. I think that the flavor distribution overall is just really, really good. It's not super sour, but you can still tell it's a sour. You could have more than one without feeling like, okay, it's too much. I got to move on. I'm giving this beer 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 hops.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm sitting around there. I'm about a 3.5. Just generally not a big sour person. Mm-hmm. But this actually changed my mind a little bit. I enjoyed the wow factor, like I said, with the Starburst being added in. I thought that was really interesting. And how Josh described the brewing process of it really added a lot for me. The citrus flavors were really prominent too. And I would love to get some more of these when they come out.
Yeah. So I don't know. Does my vote count? Because I can't really taste it. But
you smelled it.
I did. I smelled it a little bit, and I didn't taste throw up. So no. In all seriousness, I'm also not a huge sour guy. I haven't had a lot of good sours. However, this is one of the better ones I've had. And the Starburst fact is that kind of X factor for me.
Exactly.
I think that'll make this thing sell. The fact that this is double dry hopped with or dry hopped with Starburst.
Yeah.
I think that's going to make people our age want to buy it because maybe that little childhood nostalgia. So for all those reasons, I'm giving this a 4.
Nice.
Awesome. With the asterisks.
With the asterisk,
Just
put in the books. Yeah. Should Josh rate his own beer?
Yeah, this might be a little biased.
I mean, don't I like legally have to say 5. Right?
I love it.
That makes sense though. It's good.
Yeah, no, it's a great beer. I'm glad we got our hands on it before the batch ran out. But cool. So let's shout out who we talked about. Yep. Witchdoctor Brewing, I believe, is your Instagram handle, Josh. Yeah, Witchdoctor Brewing. Check them out on their website as well. They do a little bit of live music there too sometimes.
February 20th?
February 20th?
Does this come out before
I don't
that?
know. That's a good point.
This might not come out before February 20th. We got to see.
But
the
yeah.
password is podcast.
But no, we really want to thank you, Josh, for coming on because you've been so great to us these last couple of years.
Absolutely.
I mean, we started working with you when you guys kind of first opened, and we were getting back out there playing gigs, and
we played the town grand opening.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So you and the whole Witch Doctors crew has been great to us as a band, and now joining us on the podcast has been really great. So thank you for coming on, and everyone out there. Go check out Witchdoctor Brewing. You're not going to be disappointed when you go there with their beers and great vibe. And so please go check them out.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then for our band, Sevendust Official on Instagram. They just put out, yeah. I guess someone already took Sevendust.
They couldn't get the full tag.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, they put out a new album in 2020 called Blood and Stone. Check that out. Check out the discography. It's a good kick in the ass if you need that. So
awesome.
There you go. Yeah. Solid.
Good.
So our next episode, episode 22, we have a very special beer we're talking about. It's called Undivided. It is an open source beer that it has been put together by Witchdoctor Brew Lab in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and the Connecticut Brewers Guild in support of the Brewers Guild. So we're going to be talking about that next episode, so look out for that.
And then album-wise, we are talking about a band called Fair to Midland. It's kind of unknown. They were big in like the late 2000s.
Yeah.
And they put out their first, well, technically it was their third album. We'll get into that, though.
Yeah.
But Fables from a Mayfly. They're just a very different band, and I absolutely love them. Their sound is great.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening to us. This has been the Hops and Bops podcast. And again, once again, we want to thank Josh for joining us. We hope you had a good time.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been awesome having you guys since, God, our grand opening. Man, I didn't even realize it was so long. But, I mean, you guys never fail to bring us lots of cool people, and you guys always take the time to be cool to us and to hang out and not just, come do your thing and run away.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate it, man.
Between the friendship between Smoove Series and Witchdoctor, it's really cool.
And now the Hops and Bops podcast.
There it is.
The
trifecta.
Yes, there it is. Well, that's awesome. We really appreciate it. So come back on. You can choose the album and beer next time, and maybe we could do it at the brewery, or that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, cool.
Sweet.
So thanks again to Josh, for Mike and Tom. I've been Joe. Hops and Bops podcast on Facebook and Instagram, streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We'll see you next time.
Peace.